All right, now the Giants' turn to try and answer. And here's Saquon Barkley. And he is off to the races. The 30, the 20. Saquon for 6. Deep to right field. Oh, baby. Put it on the scoreboard. The kid has done it again. Jordan. Open. Chicago with the lead.
Generate tampoco, ni act different either, okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good evening to everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Lewis Sports Network. It is your boy Lewis coming back at you once again with another live stream with yet another video. As you guys come in, make sure to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, make sure your notifications are turned on, make sure you guys are sharing it on your social media outlets, and make sure to share it on Reddit. Truly appreciate it. How is everybody doing on this Friday evening? Hope everybody is doing great. Appreciate everybody coming through on this. Appreciate that. And let me just give a shout out to the chat. Once again, shout out to Layla. Appreciate her as always, man. Appreciate her as always. Also, guys, if anybody's looking to donate, again, if that's your choice, the links are in the description box down below. I just made sure that it's easier for everybody to do that. Appreciate that. There's the Nature Boy Ric Flair. We got Stone Cold Steve Austin. Shout out to Layla, two of the goats. You guys are great. Where's The Rock? Don't worry, he'll be here soon. Shout out to Rico D. He says he could post his top 10, and he's already got his top 10. He says Hogan, Brock, Stone Cold, Ric Flair, John Cena, Taker, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Randy Orton. And is that Bruno Sammartino? Yes. And then he says in that order. Okay. And a shout out to Ryan. He's going, woo! Let's see with the Nature Boy. There it is, man. That's right. It is the Nature Boy. That's right. Ready to make all the ladies cry, making them cry. All right, and I apologize once again for the late time. I just had a lot of lagging issues with the router, with the internet connection, so I apologize. So I'm actually doing this from the tablet because I'm having issues with the laptop, so I apologize for that. And Ryan goes, limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, Rolex wearing, son of a gun. And I'm having a hard time putting these alligator shoes down. Woo! And there you go. And once again, guys, I hope you appreciate and you guys enjoyed the intro. He says he can't wait. All right, and we're talking about the top 10 wrestlers of all time. Shout out to the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Jay Jefferson, appreciate you coming through. He says to be the man, woo, you gotta beat the man. That's right. Lewis getting closer to that 1,000. Appreciate that, Jay. Shout out to Layla once again, man. True supporter since day one. I tell you that intelligent lady, incredible, unbelievable. 2 more likes to 10. We actually reached 10, so I appreciate that, guys. Again, smash the like before and subscribe. She says 35 to that 1,000. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. 10 likes before we even start. That's what's up. All right, guys, keep smashing that, man. I appreciate that. All right, so and shout out to Gabriel, man. Appreciate him. Mets fan. I got a Mets video coming up with you, my man. So make sure to stay tuned for that, Gabriel. Shout out to the Bronco fanatic. Appreciate that. He said the intro was fire. Shout out to Gianni. He says, "Goat, you're the goat for coming through." Appreciate that. And again, and I told you would like it, Layla. See, I told you you would like it. 10 people. We got MJ. Shout out to Anonymous. Appreciate you. What's good? All right. Pro wrestling. All right. Hope you're doing great. Shout out to my man Brandon Nicholson in the building. He says, salute, my brother. No, salute to you for being here. Appreciate that, man. And again, shout out to Jay. And he says, man, oh my God. I see Ryan has already got it going, man. Okay, you got a top 3. Shout out to Karama in the building. Appreciate you, man. Awesome. I haven't done a top 10, but I got a top 3. Awesome. There you go. Layla says, Karam says he's just getting into UFC, so that's cool. It's not a proper top 10 list without Hulk Hogan and Bret Hart. Okay, interesting. All right. Awesome. Bronco Fanatic Classic Run. Shout out to Tomoko. Shout out to the Bronco Fanatic. Chris Jericho was underrated. Shout out to Anthony Rose. Yo, he says Bret Hart is his favorite. Bret Hart is absolutely one of my favorites. Bronco Fanatic. Help gets Lewis's 1K. I appreciate that. Again, smash the like, hit that subscribe button as you guys come in and share on your social medias. Gianni says The Rock, Stone Cold, Ric Flair, John Cena, Hogan, Shawn Michaels, Andre the Giant, Triple H, and Eddie Guerrero. It's crazy. Eddie Guerrero is crazy because I like him a lot, but I feel like he was very underrated more so. It's crazy. And he says, the heck? Stone Cold is definitely one of the GOATs. All right. Hey, you in the front row, the position 30% body fat. A Greek god, the most beautiful woman alive today. The nature boy assumed that position. Right. Okay. 14 likes. Watch yourself, Austin. CM Punk was one of the best on the mic. Some people would probably disagree with that, but it's crazy. Brandon says my top 10: Sting, Undertaker, Ric Flair, The Rock, Randy Savage, Shawn Michaels, Steve Austin, Dusty Rhodes, Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan. That's a nice list. That's a nice list. Hogan is number one. I view Hogan as the Jordan of pro wrestling as far as legacy and impact on pro wrestling popularity. Okay, Jay says he grew up on Hulk Hogan since he's 39. Um, I grew up on him since he was okay. Undertaker, Chris Jericho, and The Rock's his Bronco fanatic. Yeah, Eddie was good at being a heel, though probably the best heel of all time. Interesting. Okay, longest line. uh, that's right. Longest line, longest ride. That's right. Andre. Oh, shout out to Tomoko again. He says Andre the Giant was one of my two favorite wrestlers, along with Dave Batista. And I know why you would personally be a Dave Batista fan is also because Dave Batista is Filipino, so I do know that he does have Philippine roots. Um, Sean was a great wrestler, yeah. And Bronco says Triple H has got to be top 10. It depends on who you're talking about because a lot of these are subjective. They're subjective, so we gotta definitely see. Owen Hart was underrated. It's sad what happened to him. Oh, absolutely. Owen Hart is definitely one of the greats, just for sure. With a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment. Greatest tag teams? Yeah, Bronco. Yeah, I mentioned that. That's gonna be a future one. Yep. Stay tuned for that. Appreciate you, Daniel Berry, sub Lewis the Goat. Shout out to Daniel. Long time no see. All right. I know you guys are itching to waiting. Again, smash that like button as you guys come in. It is Lewis's top 10 superstars of all time. Top 10 superstars of all time. So now you're probably wondering where do I have these guys ranked in terms of all time greats? Now, my number one superstar of all time, and I hate to say it, but it's going to be Hulk Hogan, and here's why. Hulk Hogan is my number one guy, and here's why. Personally, he wouldn't be my number one, but and usually I would say it's my list, but here's why I have him as the number one superstar in history. The reason being is because Hulk Hogan was the Michael Jordan of pro wrestling. And when you look at his legacy and you look at his impact, a lot of things that happened in the WWE, if you look at the popularity of the WWE in the 80s, it was because of Hulk Hogan. And if you look at his gimmick really started when he was getting a chance to fight for the world title. And this was when people forget that Hogan started as a heel. He started as a heel. And let me just go into the chat before I continue. Appreciate that, guys. We got 15 likes already, so that's what's up. Appreciate that. Thanks, Bronco Fanatic. Top 5, and we got top 10: Ric Flair, Rock, Undertaker, Hogan, Triple H, HBK, Stone Cold, Kurt Angle, Ricky Steamboat, Sting in the 80s in the NWA. Jay says, I remembered my first wrestling event that I went to. It was Survivor Series in Detroit. Oh wow, you was there? Wow, that's cool, bro. Shout out to you, Jay. That's what's up. I remember watching the match. I remember watching the match. A lot of people, well, storyline wise, a lot of people were thinking that Hulkamania was dead. It was really starting to die out in the 90s. I thought after 91 was when people were like pretty much done with that. I thought people were pretty much done after 91 when Hogan had regained the title and stuff like that. And shout out to Jack Juke Sports Talk Tuesday. I gotta figure that out because the thing is like the schedule that you're giving me. It's like I gotta hit you back up on that. So I appreciate you being here though. I will try to talk to you on that. So I will try to see. And Brandon says, he says, I remember seeing heel Hogan busting Andre the Giant open. Yeah, you know what's crazy? I honestly didn't think his career was gonna last long, as a heel. Uh, Especially because everybody knows Hogan is not the most coordinated guy when it comes to skill. but Hogan did have charisma. Hogan was very good on the mic. I don't think his heel persona would have lasted long. So I think that making him the face was actually great. I think I thought his second run as a heel when he was with the NWO was actually much better because we got to see a different side of Hogan. It wasn't the typical 80s heel. It was a more edgy Hulk Hogan in the 90s, in the mid 90s, with the NWO with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, aka Razor Ramon and Big Daddy Cool Diesel. But what Hulk Hogan did for the business, he brought the business to new heights. People have to remember when he won the first world title. I know that Hogan has some bad blood with some of the guys in the company. When you look at guys like Randy Savage, when you look at the Iron Sheik, when he first beat him for the belt, and Hulkamania was actually born at Madison Square Garden in 1984. I remember the big leg drop. The leg drop, the leg drop kind of became kind of the signature trademark. You saw Hogan was pretty much on just about every commercial, every talk show. Hogan was in movies. You know, he really became larger than life in the 80s with the Hulkamania movement, and that was a very cult-like following because you guys saw what he did, and it's crazy. I don't think so either. Mick Foley, the most extreme. I love DX and NWO. Mick Foley's another underrated guy. That's cray cray. Mickey Mouse. I remember when Master P was on WCW. That was funny as hell. I don't know what he was doing there. To be honest, I was like, what was Master P doing there? Like that to me was crazy. Like I can't. That was ridiculous. I was like, this dude is in the NWO. I'm saying we talk. I mean, not in the in WCW. I'm like a rap. Like that's funny. Oh no, he's just playing with you, Bronco Fanatic. He's playing with you. He's playing with you. He's just messing with you, dog. All right, smash the like, hit that subscribe, man. Uh, oh yeah. The Mr. Softies used to sell those WWE ice cream bars, the one that CM Punk was talking about. Like he would always talk about it. I still remember that segment when he had with Triple H, and he was like, "Oh, where was it? No, was it? Yeah, yeah." And he was like, "Then, oh, where are my WWE ice cream bars?" And then, he would cheer, and then he would get a reaction from the crowd, and it was awesome. But getting back to Hulk Hogan, there's a reason that Vince put so much stock in him, and people forget that Vince's father originally had it for entertainment. No, not entertainment. His original WWF was originally supposed to be treated as an actual sport, which is what Cody Rhodes is trying to do with AEW, even though that we're in 2020 and there's modern acting involved because you really can't, hurt these wrestlers. But even though they can get hurt with a miscalculation here or there, or something happening off the ring. Yeah, you remember when Dennis Rodman and Karl Malone wrestled? They did this during the freaking NBA Finals, and then they did it a little bit after. That was Bash at the Beach. It was Hogan and Rodman against Karl Malone and DDP. I just looked at those two like, what the hell? Oh my god. Oh, got you. All right. I remember Rodman. Yeah, that storyline to me was crazy. Top 10 WWE theme songs of all time? Okay, interesting. I might do that one. Yo, what the hell, man? So Gabriel says, will AEW ever reach the peaks of WCW? My thing with the AEW is that they have a lot of talent, and the fact that they let them be themselves in AEW is great. The one thing that they're missing is they need a face of the company, and I don't think John Moxley, as good as he is, I don't think he's like that proverbial face of the company. Like that's what AEW is missing. They need that one big breakthrough superstar. Like if they had people can say what they want about Roman Reigns, but Roman Reigns draws. Roman Reigns draws. And I think that if he was in AEW, Roman would be more of himself. He would be more of himself. The thing is, the WWE makes him sound so robotic that's why people find him boring. But Roman gives you a big fight feel, and I think he would. And Roman I'm not gonna say that he's the greatest on the mic, but I feel like when he gets to be himself, when he's doing the shoot, and you're hearing it straight from the heart from Roman Reigns, he sounds a lot better than when he does with his character because he's supposed to be this SWAT team. He's supposed to be this SWAT team badass, but it doesn't say much, but it's hard. Shout out to Alex Sports in the building. Make sure to go subscribe to his channel if you guys haven't. Appreciate that. Lena said we need to break the PayPal. I'm crying. If we break it, it no longer exists. And like I said, guys, the links are in the description. So if you guys want to look for that. Ryan says, Lewis, what dream match did you always wanted to see that didn't happen, and what type if it would be? Good question. I have two in mind. One was Bret Hart against Kurt Angle. That was a dream match of mine because you get to see two technical wrestlers. I thought that would have been interesting, and I thought that would have been an instant classic. Another one is Sting against The Undertaker, and it would be Undertaker from 1997 against 1997 Sting. And I'm talking about Crow Sting. I'm talking about the vigilante, the Crow, the one with the black trench coat, the one with the baseball bat, the one with the black and white face paint. I wanted that Sting. You give me that Sting with 97 Undertaker, you're talking about a classic. And you're talking about two mythical characters. Like Sting, he can draw a crowd without having to say a word. That's how impactful Sting is. And then you got Undertaker. We already know about his mortician, mythical character. Just I'm amazed that he made it work. Because the thing is, a character like Taker's is really hard to pull off, and he was able to do it. Luger putting Ramen in that human torture rack in '97. Oh man. What does Alex say? Can't wait for tomorrow. Awesome. Can't wait either. AEW is pretty good, but I don't think so. They're missing. Robert Roode has a great theme. Yeah, Robert Roode is good. I like Robert Roode. Yeah, that's what they're missing. They need that guy. They need that guy that's gonna push the company to further heights. If they get that guy, AEW to me can trump the WWE because they have talent. They have the talent there. The model Rick Martel was funny as hell. I mean, Rick Martel looked like a porn star. To be honest with you, look at the stuff that he wore and how he walked to the ring. Shout out to Giants Alliance and make sure to go subscribe to his channel. And guys, I'm going to be on a panel tomorrow on Alex Sports' channel. So I will be leaving. I probably will make a video on it just to let you know where I'll be, and I'll leave the links to Giants Alliance, the Sports Critic also. Shout out to him and go subscribe to his channel, and then also to Alex Sports. So Alex, Giants, and Sports Critic. I will be with all of them tomorrow, so it should be a really fun panel. Ryan says my favorite match would have to be Kurt Angle against The Undertaker. Iron Man match at WrestleMania for the title in 2006 would have to take a rematch for No Way Out. That was actually a very underrated match. Nobody talks about that a lot. But Kurt against Taker was actually very good for that world title at No Way Out. That was awesome. Gabriel says he's watching SmackDown right now. Nice. That's cool, Alex. That's true. Did Shawn Michaels ever face Hogan? Yes, he did. He faced him at SummerSlam 2005. SummerSlam 2005 was when Kobe faced Hulk Hogan. I mean, why did I say Kobe? Shawn Michaels faced Hulk Hogan. That's when he faced him. So yeah, I got Hulk Hogan at number 1. So he's my number 1 all-time wrestler. Brandon says you took the words out of my mouth, but I was thinking 97 Crow Sting versus Ministry Undertaker. Okay. But the only reason that I'm saying, yeah, because you know what, Mortician Undertaker was probably very he looked like he was unstoppable and he was just like nothing could phase him. In terms of the character, they made him almost like invincible. But I actually would take the 97. I would take 97 Taker just to match the years. Because if you look at 91 Sting, he was more charismatic. He was the charismatic, short blonde hair, everybody loved him, American hero type of character. 97 Sting, I think. Well, you know what? The funny thing is, now that you think about it, I would probably it's possible I could put a 90, probably maybe 91. You know why? Because in 97, you were actually starting to see more you were starting to see a little American badass in Undertaker. You didn't see it a lot, but they would show like snippets, very small snippets, like very small snippets. And even in late '97, Undertaker was starting to talk like with a badass attitude. Like sometimes it would sound like if he was starting to kind of break character, in a way. So, but yeah, shout out to once again to Giants Alliance. Appreciate you, man. Where are these crazy matches, man? I need to watch the greatest matches of all time. True. My my other match would be Taker and Triple H versus Goldberg, Hell in a Cell for the world title. The key thing, though, to a great match, you got to have good chemistry in the ring, and hopefully they're able to sell. Awesome. Appreciate that, Alex. No doubt, no doubt. You deserve it. You deserve it. Um, where is it? Here we go. Chris Jericho on the mic, all the different characters. Awesome. That's right. Appreciate that. Um, I love the Okada versus Omega matches. New Japan Pro Wrestling. Awesome. Shout out to Speaking My Sports Talk. My man D is in the building. Appreciate you, my brother. Make sure y'all go subscribe to his channel. Make sure you guys show him his love as well in the chat. Appreciate you. Yep. Stone Cold says I had a great feud with The Rock. Absolutely. Greatest rivalries of all time. WrestleMania was 2000 was a great game on the N64. What's crazy about that, Anonymous, is I never played the game. That's crazy. And it was one of the best. I was always into the SmackDown ones on PlayStation. Even when Stone Cold. You got Shawn Michaels as the second one? Okay. And shout out to Speaking Mind. Let me see. The Bronco Fanatic says 25 to 28 Undertaker matches were insane. Let me see. In 25, he wrestled Shawn. People called that arguably the greatest. They were able to do 26. That was also a great one. I thought their 25 was better, was a slightly a little bit better than 26. Uh, 27, he went up against the Game. That was a classic. 28 was a classic. Yeah, those were pretty good. Moving on up, gang. Did you know that Stan Lee created the Hulk by combining Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with Frankenstein? Yes, I did. If HBK Brett had 3 matches at WrestleMania like Stone Cold versus The Rock, do you think HBK Brett 3 matches would have held up to The Rock versus Stone Cold? Hmm, that's a good question because their first one was an Iron Man match and it was kind of like it was an athletic contest. But the funny thing about that match was is that the match really started to get a lot of drama probably like in the last 10 minutes. I feel like there were moves being hit. Shout out to Brandon Rogers. Appreciate you guys. Go subscribe to Brandon Rogers' channel if you guys have not. We need to do the live we promised, man. We were going in for that day. Which one? And Brandon says his favorite of all time is the Undertaker Triple H end of an era match is his favorite of all time. That was a great one. That one was in a Hell in a Cell. And if you look at the storyline with Shawn Michaels, that's what made it even more sweeter. So that's a good one. Vader was my guy too. He was underrated. Oh yeah, he was very underrated. I hated the way that the WWE used him when he was here. I hated it. They could have done a lot with Vader. Vader was so underrated. Those are facts, Jay. WWE, yeah, they were pretty good. Mick Foley has to be in the top 10. I wouldn't put him in the top 10. I think he would be just outside the top 10. I I definitely could see because it's really hard. It's really hard with Mick. Mick to me is one of the more underrated. I have him as one of the more underrated superstars of all time. Shane O'Mac, that's Alex Sports says is Randy Orton top 10 of all time. It's crazy because if you look at Randy's career, he's really starting to make a case to be in the top 10. Huh. He is third in my opinion for best wrestler. My favorite is Johnny Gargano. Oh, that match was pretty good. I will admit that Hogan can beat, but I had a better career. Foley's underrated. I think he's underrated. Okay, so here's my number two. The number two superstar of all time that I have on my list has to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. Here's why. You can make the case that even though that Stone Cold's career was short, Before I continue that, Ryan says that my favorite WrestleMania was the 17 versus The Rock. Oh my God, that one is a great one. That's a great one. That yeah, one of my favorites. AJ says, what do you what are your thoughts on about Keith Lee, uh, becoming a future world champion, when he got the call up to the main when he gets the call up to the main roster? Um, it's gonna depend on what they do with Keith Lee's character because Keith Lee is very good and a lot of people do know him. He just became, I know he was the North American champion and he just defeated Adam Cole to become NXT champion. So I'm happy for him that he became a double champion. Now I wonder what Triple H is gonna do with him. Because they're looking at to have him with some rivalries right now in NXT. So he might be in a couple of rivalries before they call him up. But I definitely think that he does have a future. I just hope that Vince doesn't try to ruin his career. And Rico D says, yeah, I'm loving current Randy Orton right now. If you look at Randy Orton, he's very rejuvenated. Very rejuvenated. If you look at the Randy, I feel like Randy to me, number one, if you look at Randy, he's in great shape. He's in great shape. He looked real slow the last 3 years. He looked like he had a little flab. He looked like he was unmotivated. But Randy actually shed off some weight. Uh, he's in the best shape that he's been in a while. His body looks 2009, 2010ish Randy Orton, which is very scary. And now he's trying to reassert himself as the legend killer. And when I hear something like that, that just tells me that Randy is really motivated right now. And trust me, a motivated Randy Orton is a scary Randy Orton. All right, Layla says we got 20 likes, five more to the 25 goal. Appreciate that. Hell yeah. All right. Is working heel right now. Shades of his 0708 run. I think he's so stale as a babyface. Yeah, I don't like him as a babyface. I don't like it. The thing is also they've made it. One of the reasons they made it so stale is because if you saw Randy's character and he changed into that vicious, into that vicious Viper Randy Orton, it's like you don't make him a face with that type of character. He's not the. If it was like 2004 and even 2004 Randy Orton as a babyface, that stunk. That was not good. So here's the reason why I put Stone Cold. Here's the reason that I put Stone Cold. Yeah, no, I think Randy to me is best. He's always going to be a heel. Uh, the crazy part about Stone Cold is when he was with Brian Pillman as the Hollywood Blondes. When I hear him talk, I kept always hearing pre Stone Cold. That's all I kept hearing. I kept hearing pre Stone Cold when he would talk. WCW ruined him. WCW ruined him. They did not use him right. Stone Cold has a great mind for the business. I remember him starting at the Dallas Sportatorium in Dallas, Texas in 1989. That's where he really got his first start. He started to get shine in ECW, and I thought he had an underrated run in WCW, but again, they don't know what they're doing over there in that promotion. WCW really didn't hit its peak until about 95 to 97. That's when they were at their peak of their powers. But they ruined the Stone Cold character in WCW. They ruined Austin in WCW. Once he got to ECW and you got to see a little more mean streak in Austin, then you come and see him in the WWE. The ringmaster gimmick was the worst gimmick that Vince could ever put on. That was the worst thing. It wasn't until the King of the Ring. The best thing that happens is the bottom line that he started out with when he won. He does his little promo when he wins King of the Ring, and he does it. That's the bottom line, as Stone Cold said. So then, when you hear Austin, you start to see his character really start to develop, like in the coming months. And then once Bret Hart gets involved, everything changes. His rivalry with Bret Hart, it's amazing to me that they don't talk about that rivalry enough. It's one of the more underrated rivalries in wrestling history. And kudos to Bret Hart for pushing Stone Cold because Bret Hart was actually really he was the real reason that Stone Cold became what he did. He was the real reason. Oh yeah. Jay says that Doink the Clown was underrated. Yeah, I thought actually his when I think it was Matt Bourne who played Doink, I thought his Doink was better than the second person who played Doink. Like I thought the fact that he had mixed personalities almost seemed like if Doink was like bipolar in a way. When Randy was twisting Hardy's ear with the screwdriver, that was vicious. I couldn't even watch. John Cena feels so shady as a person. Really? Yeah, Mick Foley's hardcore matches are legendary. Oh yeah, no, definitely Cactus Jack was one of the best gimmicks. I agree. It is gonna be weird. It is gonna be weird. It's crazy, man. You know what's so crazy, guys? I was just watching Diamond Dallas Page. I was just watching a video highlights of him, and you know what, Rico D? I gotta say this, man. Okay. Um, so yeah, guys. So like Rico D says, he says people will always talk trash on the Stone Cold heel run and how it contradicted his anti-authority babyface run. I'm gonna say this right now about that. I think that his heel run in 2001 was actually pretty good. People are not gonna like it because they rather like him being they like being him being the anti-hero. Like it's good to be the anti-hero. The thing is, Stone Cold was probably the Hulk Hogan of the 90s. He was probably the Michael Jordan of the 90s. If you have an 80s Jordan and you have a 90s Jordan, Hogan would be 80s Jordan, and then Stone Cold would be 90s Jordan in terms of like winning the championships. Because and what I mean by that is Stone Cold made Stone Cold impacted it so much that it caused. I mean, he wasn't the only reason, but Stone Cold was the biggest reason that the WWE started to win the Monday Night Wars over WCW. It's almost kind of a way as to why, kind of like why probably Hogan doesn't even like Stone Cold in a way because Stone Cold had a lot of good ideas. It's just they always turned him down. They always turned him down. They always turned him down. I agree with you, Jay. Tito Santana. I think he only won the Intercontinental title once or twice, but he was very good in the ring. I liked him in the ring. Tito Santana was one of the most underrated, skilled superstars. He was a mid Carter, but he was a damn good mid Carter, and I know he won. I believe he won a tag team championship with Rick Martel, if I'm not mistaken. I think he won a World Tag Team Championship with Rick Martel. Um, Bronco says Shawn Michaels against Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 21 was amazing. Oh, it's one of the greatest matches I ever saw, and I saw that match. That was a beautiful match. Orton kisses Stephanie. Oh, due to the storyline, yeah, because it got personal. I agree with you, Bronco fanatic. I cannot disagree any more with that. You are absolutely right. You see that? Because it's true. The championships look way better back then. John Cena. Haha. Have you seen the new United States Championship? I have, and I think it actually looks better than the current US title. I like it. Ron Simmons definitely was a he definitely was a pioneer. Ron Simmons was. Anonymous Fokker, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. I thought Mick Foley died that night. When Taker threw him over that Hell in a Cell, I thought Mick Foley was dead. Bad News Brown, another one who was in the 80s, 70s, and 80s. The Attitude Era was WWE's peak. Stone Cold and The Rock plus Vince. I wish I was alive at that time. WWE hasn't been great ever since 2016. It's been okay to good, but there's always been problems now. Lewis, I don't remember, but did the Animals cross over WWE when Kidman first arrived? If not, how far do you think Kidman and Mysterio go? Kidman and Mysterio came in 2000. No, Mysterio came in 2002. He was signed to SmackDown. Kidman was already in the company. He was part of the WCW in and the ECW invasion. Let me say this right now. the WCW ECW invasion was arguably that was probably the worst angle during that time. The worst angle during the Attitude Era. I didn't like it because I felt that the wrong superstars were not there. The wrong superstars were there. You were missing a Scott Hall, Kevin Nash. You needed guys like that. If you would have brought Hogan back, it's unfortunate with Sting. Sting had issues there, but getting back to Stone Cold before I go back into the comment section, guys. Stone Cold, the WrestleMania match with the submission match with Bret Hart and the double turn that happened was the key to Austin's popularity. It was key. People were starting to like him already because they were liking the edgy attitude and they weren't liking the hero gimmicks anymore. That I'm good for the fans, fight the good fight. They weren't liking that. They were liking the attitude stuff. And I noticed that when Austin had changed attitude, you were starting to see a lot of superstars late 96 into 97 like have a lot of attitude, even when they tried to keep it PG. And that's when Vince launched the Attitude Era. When the face turn happened, I know he did it in like November of like 97 around that time, but I'm telling you, it was just freaking awesome. Freaking awesome. Freaking awesome. The best thing that ever happened. And Stone Cold, when it comes to merchandise sales, when it comes to attendance, when it comes to, and you just got to look at Austin's gimmick, man. Austin's gimmick, the beer swilling, the finger gesturing, all that kind of stuff drew such a big fan base. And Layla makes a key point right here. Stone Cold is such an alpha. Stone Cold is such an alpha. He was arguably the number one alpha in the company at that time. Brandon says, I agree. I love that World Heavyweight Championship. That's big facts, Bronco. That's my favorite championship. You're absolutely right, Brandon. They won at Strikeforce. Yep, absolutely. I love the original Intercontinental title, like the first one that they had at the time that like guys like Mr. Perfect and Shawn when they won it. RVD is definitely underrated when it comes to in-ring skills. Oh yeah, oh that's right. Really? Demolition, Action Smash, and then a little later on Crush. I think they were two-time tag team champions. People forget that in the mid to late 80s and then the early 90s, the tag team division was stacked. The mid to late 80s and the early 90s, the tag team division was stacked, stacked, stacked. They were stacked. Yeah, the New Day, definitely one of the greatest tag teams of all time. That's right. Oh yeah. Shout out to Layla for the like count. We are at 24 likes. We are almost at the goal of 25. Appreciate that. Okay, so yeah, Stone Cold is number two. He was able to win six world titles. He changed the business forever with his impact. I felt like the impact and the changing character really changed everything. Then you got to see a lot of superstars with attitude. It changed the whole face of the company. And people also forget that the tag team division was actually pretty deep in the late 90s too, during Austin's era. So that's why I got to go with Austin at number two. Just his impact and his character as being the anti-hero. He made the anti-hero really cool, and he was really the first successful anti-hero. And he did it in the biggest company in the WWE. Why do you think that the Attitude Era is still talked about to this day? Even when we had a very good Ruthless Aggression era, the Attitude Era is talked about more so than any other era. We had the generation years. We had the WWF New Generation. We obviously had the WWE in the 80s. But I'm telling you, the most talked about, especially if you grew up in the 90s, if you were in the late 80s to the 90s, you know? Oh, man, Ryan loves him some Ric Flair, man. That's right. I was actually, Sean has said it. He thought that the key for him was to go solo. I remember with him being Marty Jannetty. So I got Stone Cold at number two. At number three, I have to go with the Nature Boy Ric Flair. That's right. The Nature Boy Ric Flair is number three. The reason that I got Ric Flair at number three, I mean, his career spans over 4 decades. He's currently in the WWE right now. Number 3 is Ric Flair. We got Ric Flair at number 3. Ric Flair is number 3. The guy is a 16-time world champion. You look at what Ric Flair means to the business. He's idolized by so many all-time greats that are in the that were wrestling pretty much in just about every independent circuit. When you think about Ric Flair in the in the AWA, the NWA, obviously WCW Championship Wrestling, Ric Flair's gimmick. Oh my goodness. Oh, let me also forget that Stone Cold's badass attitude. Uh, he had a lot of passion in his voice when he would talk. Like you can feel his anger through his promos. Like Austin knows how to deliver great promos and deliver heat, and also always get cheers from the crowd. But let me continue. So yeah, Ric Flair, his charisma is arguably arguably the greatest I've ever seen when it comes to him talking on the mic. Every time I saw him carry either the NWA or World Heavyweight Championship in a custom tailored suit, in a beautiful dress shirt, with his slick pants, there's a reason why they called him Slick Rick. You know, the beautiful aviator shades. The man just had the look of a winner. I mean, and then a 16-time World Heavyweight Champion on top of that. Numerous tag team championships. 6-time United States champion. Former Intercontinental champion. Television champion. It's almost like what hasn't Ric Flair done? The man has done it all. I agree with you, Anonymous, in that in the mid 90s. That's right. No, the Alpha era kind of really is the Attitude Era. Kind of really is the Attitude Era. Let me see. Yeah, and he says CM Punk was one of my favorites. Jay says he didn't like the Nasty Boys. I'm crying. Yeah, the Harlem Heat. Yeah, they were very good. Um, I thought Hogan and The Rock. I thought wrestling wise, it was not that great, but I think in terms of the storyline and the whole icon versus icon thing was probably what made it special. I felt like the match it was typical. It was typical Hulk Hogan because you had Hollywood Hulk Hogan trying to be Hulk Hogan because they were in Toronto. So I thought in terms of the match just had a lot of electricity. That's what probably made it special. But the match itself was not that good though, because of Hogan's moveset. It's not Hogan's moveset is typical 80s. And the thing is, Hogan is not the best and most coordinated superstar. I said that. But like I said, with Ric Flair, I mean, he's had the legendary matches. You're talking about Dusty Rhodes, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Sting, Vader, Shawn Michaels. I mean, the list goes on and on with the classic matches that he had in his career. I still remember the Four Horsemen. I mean, Ric Flair's unbelievable. He was able to win 2 WWE championships when he came to the WWE. Randy Savage. You know, it just lets you know that the man was just special. And it's crazy because it's crazy. People have said this. You hear Ric Flair in a lot of music. Yeah, and oh yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right, Anonymous. Yep, you're right. You're right. I felt like Foley's body was kind of done at that point, even though he kind of showed that time. Because the thing was, Mick actually he was showing himself to be more vulnerable after that Hell in a Cell match. Felt like he was never the same. They were saying that he was never the same against Triple H, but that's wrong. He was really never the same after he went up against the Undertaker, and that's a fact. That's a fact. Shout out to Jarrell. He says Shawn is the best wrestler ever. Undertaker isn't always was overrated. You think? And that streak was extremely overrated. Ah, He said, I won't argue on that. I had HBK in number 2. I mean, it depends. It's everybody's subjective list. I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of hard. I mean, but hey, I can understand it, Jarrell. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, Scout Hall. Oh, Terry Funk. That's right. That's right. Shout out to Bronco Fanatic with the like count. OMG, we got to our 25 likes. I guess we're gonna keep smashing the 30. Rick, Dan, Layla, you said smash. Girl, you said smash. Once you said smash, I knew, man. You said smash. Oh Lord. But again, guys. So yeah, Rick just had an unbelievable charisma about him. He always knew how to cut a promo. His promos were always believable when you listen to him talk. Sometimes Ric Flair would even have you, imitating his strut to his talk, how'd you carried yourself in society. Uh, like I was saying, like why do you think a lot of hip hop artists use Ric Flair in their music? It just tells you that he kind of brought that hip hop bling in wrestling that a lot of music artists thought used and would say as an influence to the hip hop community. That's why Ric Flair is so endeared to a lot of artists. I mean, it's crazy. The dude is friends with Offset. He's friends with Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg loves Rick. Offset loves Rick. That just lets you know how Ric Flair is in the in the black community when it comes to that. Oh yeah, they're stiff as hell. So yeah, I got Ric Flair at number 3. Just unbelievable with the stuff he's done. So Ric Flair is at number 3. At number 4, ladies and gentlemen, I have the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. The Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Here's why. People would probably think that I'm crazy and say that you're putting Shawn. I think that's a little too high with Shawn. Here's why I got. Here's why I got that. And before I continue, it's true. That's true. Yep. And so that's right, Jay. And okay, Ryan has a question. He says that do you think the 2002 the Click would have reassembled? Let me see. Nash tore his quad in '02. Uh, let's see. X Pac was, I think, gone by that time. Scott Hall was on drugs. And the funny thing is, the WWE would send him to numerous rehabilitation programs, but he just kept going back to the drugs after that. And Shawn was actually clean at that point. And I remember that before Shawn came back, Scott Hall had been fired. The storyline was Ric Flair fired Scott Hall, but Vince was the one that fired him. But that was because that had a lot to do with the drug test. And Scott Hall was not good. Um, Anonymous says that Bret Hart goes before HBK. Sorry. That was a classic moment, man. Shawn smashing Marty into the barbershop window. Anonymous says that Bret took over as the face of the company when Hogan left. Let's be really honest. Bret was the face of the. He was. I can't deny that. But the reason I got Shawn Michaels at number 4 is for this reason. Shawn Michaels, in his career, I don't know if people know this, but in Shawn's career, he has 10, and I repeat, he has 10 match of the years. 10 match of the years by PWI Wrestling. 10 match of the years he's won with the people he's been involved with. I don't know if people remember this match in 1993. This was Monday Night Raw. This was on May 17th. Shawn went against Marty Jannetty for the Intercontinental Championship. I suggested you guys go watch that match in 93 for the IC belt. That was on Monday Night Raw. That match was voted as the match of the year. Could you believe that? That match was voted. That match was voted the match of the year. And Shawn ended up winning 10 of those in his career. He's been part of 10 match of the years. 10 matches of the year. I don't think a lot of people know that. Only wrestling purists know that. Scott Hall is very underrated. And I felt like in the time period in the mid 90s, he could have been WWE champion. That's how good Scott Hall was. The funny thing is, when I saw him with an Intercontinental belt, he screamed world championship material to me. But Scott Hall's problem again was due to the drugs. Because I remember in 90, what was it, in 96? He was supposed to fight Goldust at WrestleMania, but he got suspended due to drug use. So because of the drugs, he was suspended for 30 days. And that killed, and so then they had to replace Scott Hall with Roddy Piper. Jarrell says, by the way, he says Undertaker's best matches at WrestleMania were against Shawn Michaels, who always outperformed him. Oh, I agree. I agree. There's a reason that they call Shawn Mr. WrestleMania for that reason. There's a reason for that. See, that list of matches of the year is what I need to watch ASAP. Uh, One of them is the Razor Ramon match against Shawn at WrestleMania 10. That's one of them. That's actually one of them. Now, Bret Hart was very mad because the WWE and a lot of people have always made it seem like if Shawn and Razor were the first actual ladder match, they were the first televised ladder match. They were the first televised ladder match, and this happened on a pay-per-view. That's why their ladder match gets a lot of credit. But quite honestly, Shawn actually had a ladder match against Bret the Hitman Hart back in 1992. This was, I believe, I think this was in Saskatoon, Canada. This was, I think, in June, and I think Bret was the champion at the time. This was Bret's second reign, so that's why Bret has he sometimes gets resentment from that. That Bret was actually the one telling Vince to do ladder matches, but Vince would always like put it forth, put it forth. Vince did do the ladder match, but it was non-televised. Vince gets a lot of credit for the whole ladder match in '94, and it's like Bret was the one that came with the idea, yet he never gets the credit for it. That's what pisses me off about Vince McMahon. Bret's done a lot of things for the company, and like Vince takes it for granted, and it's sad. It's not even a dream; it's a reality. That's right, Layla. 10 matches of the year. So the reason that Shawn was the first, he was the first superstar to win a Grand Slam. That's the European title, even though that title really doesn't mean anything now today because that thing was long gone by like 2003. The European title, the WWE title, the Tag Team Championships, the Intercontinental Championship, the World Tag Team Championships as well. So check this out. WWE Champion 3 times, World Heavyweight Champion once, 3-time Intercontinental Champion, 1-time European Champion, 1-time WWE Tag Team Champion, and then he won 5 World Tag Team titles. He won 5 of those babies. And so what was cool about it is, so Shawn shows you that he's very decorated, right? So Shawn shows you that he's very decorated. Shawn also was very charismatic. The funny thing is, his Sweet Chin Music finishing move has been imitated by a lot of guys like Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is not Shawn Michaels, but I've seen him from time to time imitate that Sweet Chin Music, especially in their rivalry. By the way, the Shawn Michaels Chris Jericho rivalry is one of the more underrated rivalries ever in wrestling, ever. So yeah, Shawn. Another thing, how many guys? If you look at his outfits too, guys. If you look at his outfit too, his outfits were made by a girl who was at the time, I believe, 13 years old. Some of the stuff that Shawn was wearing wasn't as great. A lot of the material that she was able to get, uh, some of the material, I believe she said, I forgot what the material was made of, but it was crazy how some of the material she was able to get was able to turn Shawn's outfits. It made it so flashy, like if Shawn was like, only Shawn could rock the clothing that she made for him when it came to his tights to his outerwear. Oh yeah, Vince. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Big John Studd was very good. And then Shawn being Mr. WrestleMania, his ability to outperform people. People also have to remember this though. I felt like Shawn's speed and agility made him had made him the ability to not only make him look good against people his size and smaller, but then also against heavyweights. Sean made the heavyweights look good in his matches, believe it or not. Even though Sean would be the standout star, Sean was able to make the heavyweights look good. That's what makes Sean special. Sean didn't have the physique. He didn't have the look. Well, he has the boyish good looks, but in terms of like his physique, Sean was not that prototypical Mr. Muscle fitness guy. Sean was one of the smaller guys in the company. And Sean proved to you that you don't have to be big in order to be able to sell. He was one of those guys. So the fact that you have 10 match of the year candidates, you wrestled in arguably the greatest match in WrestleMania history with The Undertaker. I mean, you were in the first Hell in a Cell match with The Undertaker, and that match was a 5-star classic, believe it or not. That match also was a 5-star classic between Shawn and The Undertaker, Hell in a Cell 97. I agree with you, Jay. Ravishing Rick Rude, underrated. The man had the body, he had the looks. The guy, I loved his mic skills. Great mic skills that he had. Great mic skills. It's crazy. Again, guys, smash the like button, hit that subscribe button for the Lewis Sports Network, coming at you with the wrestling content tonight. So once again, that's why I got Sean at number 4. Sean's 1996 run, I know he was in a very bad place in 96. I thought the best match for me in his 96 reign, for me, guys, he had some good matches with the Bulldog. He had a good match with Kevin Nash at the In Your House pay-per-view. Obviously, he had that classic Iron Man match against Bret. But my favorite match from his title run was actually against Mick Foley in 1996 at In Your House 11, Mind Games. That match I saw a different side of Sean that I had never seen before. Like the deranged Mankind. And by the way, Mankind's such an underrated character. Got to give Mick Foley a lot of credit. He is a hell of an actor. I felt like the Dude Love was cheesy, but I feel like the Mankind and Cactus Jack, to me, they will both stand out as my favorite characters from Mick Foley. But the match that he had with Sean in '96, we saw a different side of Sean. We got to see a physically tough Sean. And that's, to me, Sean is actually one of the more underrated, versatile superstars in history. I agree with you, Jarrell. Mr. Perfect. Love Mr. Perfect. Underrated. Mr. Perfect. That's right. Ooh, that's a good comparison, Jay. I like that. He was the Isaiah Thomas of wrestling. I agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Sean was definitely, yeah, I could see that. Oh, appreciate that. Appreciate that, Anonymous. I'm actually gonna change the thumbnail actually, and I wanted to had to show that one a little bit just for the fact that this is Sean in '96 when he won the WWE title, which made it pretty cool. Shout out to Valix, appreciate you, man. You're the GOAT for being here, so appreciate that. That's what's up. Again, smash that like, hit that subscribe for the Lewis Sports Network, giving you some wrestling content. Dang, I wish Levante was here, man, because I actually was gonna do, but he's not here today. Because I actually wanted to get him to talk. So yeah, that was my favorite one from Sean in '96. Shout out to Tyree, man, appreciate you. All right, so now Sean is at number 4. At number 5, I have to go with the excellence of execution, Bret the Hitman Hart. Here's why. When you look at Bret's career, I think that people kind of get on him a little bit as being a prima donna, but the person at number 4 was actually a prima donna in his own right in Sean. The Bret Shawn Michaels rivalry Oh no, no, no. Because the thing is, I have him by email, but he hasn't answered, so he might be busy today. So I'm not gonna. So I'm just gonna keep going. Um. Oh, really? You have WrestleMania on VHS? Which ones do you have? Which ones do you have, Anonymous? Because I remember one time I don't have them anymore, but I actually used to collect the WrestleMania CDs. Actually, Sean doesn't get enough credit for keeping the company afloat when the WWF was actually in a very difficult time period, and this was when they were changing the Sean. Jarrell says that Goldberg was my guy, but he ended Bret Hart's career. Unfortunately, he did. It was that kick to the head. I think you remember it, Jarrell. I think when Bret tried to whip, no, I think Goldberg whipped Bret off the ropes, and then Goldberg hit him with the actual kick that actually hit him in the face. Uh, he ended up getting like migraines, did Bret, and then I think after that he wrestled one match, I think against Kevin Nash, I think in early 2000, and then after that he retired. What then happened was Bret ended up getting a concussion, and then later on his concussion ended up leading to a stroke. So Bret suffered a lot of complications, and also it was not a good time period for Bret, also because Brian Pillman had passed away. Um, who else? Brian Pillman passed away. Then it was Owen Hart. His brother passed away in '99. Then his brother-in-law Davey Boy Smith passed in '02. He was really in a rough time. I believe Ravishing Rick Rude also had passed away during that time as well. So that was a really different. Ravishing Rick was also he lost a lot of guys. Mr. Perfect too. He lost. So he was in a very difficult time, and that's why he already had. Yeah, I remember when Sid broke his leg in that match. But getting back on Brett, I remember that. I remember that, Brandon. But yeah, but getting back to Bret Hart's career, uh, he wasn't even thinking that he was even going to be a wrestler. And I remember the famous, what is it, the famous Hart Foundation with Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Jimmy Hart as the manager. They ended up winning two tag team championships together, one of the all-time great tag teams. And then obviously as a single superstar, Brett was able to go to new heights. I just love the Hitman shades. The Hitman shades were probably like my favorite. The only one guy that can actually make pink and black look really cool. Uh, and his jackets were like out of this world. Like he had different types of pink and black jackets. Like it was just that good. I've never seen a guy make pink look and black look so cool like Brett. I don't think we're ever gonna see that again. It's true. It's true. He went through a lot after that. Dynamite Kid is very underrated. Him and British Bulldog as the Bulldogs, underrated tag team. You you actually have SummerSlam '95. What did you think of the Sean Razor match of the second one? Do you think that the Sean Razor match part two was better than part one, or do you think that the first one at WrestleMania was actually better? Oh yeah, Ryan be funny. Shout out to Poseidon, appreciate you. He says I got Sean in my top 10. Yeah, Sean is in number four for me. People hate on X Pac, but X Pac was actually pretty good. There's a lot of guys that you would say underrated. I would have to say that I have to make a future underrated video. The Rock might be overrated. I think for The Rock was. I'll get to The Rock in a second. But getting back to the Hitman, this dude put a lot of people over. You look at the 1-2-3 Kid in '94. Now he made his name defeating Razor Ramon on a Monday Night Raw at the Manhattan Center. But if y'all saw I told y'all go watch the match. If you look at the match between Bret Hart and the 1-2-3 Kid, it actually happened on my birthday, uh, on the 11th of this was in 1994. Just watch that match. Bret Hart is one of the greatest in-ring psychologists of all time, which makes him a top five for me. All of his Stampede Wrestling championships. This guy was named. He had his own Bret Appreciation Day just 7 years ago in Canada. I believe it was in Calgary. You know, he's from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And like I said, God rest his soul to his brother Owen, underrated. He won five WWE championships. He was a two-time Intercontinental Champion. He was a two-time Tag Team Champion. He was the first double Triple Crown winner. You know, he was the first double Triple Crown winner at the time. And let's face it, the girls love. I know Brett was a huge fan around. He was fans around the world just loved him. His promos may have not been the best in terms of he wasn't as charismatic, and you could tell he was nervous when it came to stumbling his words. But the one thing I will say about his promos was they felt real. So Brett gave you a lot of realism in his promos. They weren't always the best. The reason that he wears shades is because he would get nervous in front of a camera. That's tough, man. Top five actors. Whew. There's so many. There's so many actors, man. It would be hard for me to make a top five. But I guess it's personal. I might have to think about that in the future, though. Shout out to Poseidon. Um, I have Sting right there with Sean, somewhere between 20 to 30. Oh, you have them in the top. You have them in the top 20. Okay, okay. I actually have Sean at number four, and I have Brett at number five. Okay. Uh, like I said, his run with Austin was unbelievable. I felt that the Bret Hart Bob Backlund storyline could have actually been pushed a little bit more further. That was a very underrated storyline. That was funny. Oh, Mr. Rikishi. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that. Rikishi's funny as hell. Started off as one of the head shrinkers. So let's see. So yeah, when you talk about Bret's career, right? Bret's had a lot of classic matches, man. He could put a really good one, like his match with Mr. Perfect, his match with Mr. Perfect, and at SummerSlam. That was one of my all-time favorites. All-time favorite matches. But Bret Hart's ability to tell a good story, and the thing is, he protected a lot of guys. I mean, some people look at him as an a-hole sometimes, and I'm not saying that he couldn't be, but it's like if you're gonna say that about him, you have to say that about Shawn because Shawn was not very well liked in the locker room. Shawn was on a lot of coke and drugs in the 90s. Shawn always had the click as well, so Shawn wasn't like as always very well liked. There's some guys that he was able to get along with when it came to working together in the ring, but when it comes to overall like backstage locker room wise, Shawn was not the most like. Yeah, I agree, Key, Poseidon, and I agree with you, Ryan. Shout out to Layla. She says we got 30 likes, man. You guys rock ass. We rock ass. That's a, no. It's yeah. You're right, Layla. It's we rock ass. Facts. Jay says Bob Backlund was underrated as hell. I agree. Brian says the Bret Hart Diesel matches were underrated. Yeah, and the thing is, you have to give Bret Hart a lot of credit because Bret actually made Diesel look very good. When Diesel didn't do Diesel, aka Kevin Nash, I thought he wasn't ready to be the champion. I thought how they treated Bob Backlund was really messed up when they gave the belt to Diesel right away, 3 days after he had just beaten Bret at the Survivor Series with the crossface chicken wing in their submission match. I thought the way they treated Bret was very unfair. Well, and more so Bob Backlund, and not really more so Bob Backlund. I know Bret was complaining about not having his time as champion, but Backlund didn't get to have his time neither. He had his time the first time he had 5 years, but I thought that his character in '94, when he went all psycho crazy, and once he did that, it was his promos were fun to watch. His promos were fun to watch. Ken Shamrock? I mean, Ken Shamrock was great, but I wouldn't put him over Bret Hart. Not me personally. I agree. And he says, wait, but Shamrock did MMA too. That's where I know him from. Yeah, he's originally an MMA guy, but he did have a wrestling background too. So Ken Shamrock is from the UFC, but he had a wrestling background. His match with his involvement as a special enforcer, as the referee with the Stone Cold Bret Hart angle at WrestleMania 13, one of the most brutal, physical, bloodbathy street fights. And the thing is, that match felt like a street fight more than a submission match. Like those two were getting very physical, even though if it's acting. Yeah, he was stiff. Shout out to Buddy, by the way. Kurt Angle's underrated. Absolutely, absolutely. The Bret Owen rivalry was yeah. What I appreciated about that rivalry was how the WWE actually they slowly built up that rivalry. They slowly built it. They slowly built it. They actually did a very good job with that. But the thing is also the writing team was so much better with a lot of these storylines. Ryan, you're absolutely right. It was supposed to be, but I heard that Shawn did not want to drop the title to Bret at WrestleMania. So because he didn't want to drop the title to Bret, he decided to come up with the whole he. The thing was, he really did have a knee injury. He did, but it was his scapegoat excuse to not wrestle Bret Hart. And at that point, Shawn and Bret were really pretty much at that point enemies at that point. But it came to a head probably in the spring of '97. Um, remember the Brawl for All? That was the stupidest thing ever. The Brawl for All. That thing made no sense. They were trying to make a session for that thing to be kind of like boxing, and that to me was just pretty much dumb. Whoever says it's only acting doesn't appreciate what these wrestlers do. In a sense, right? What did you think about when Undertaker lost WrestleMania? I thought it was stupid because it took away the mystique of his streak, and then after that, they just kept making him come year after year when it was just like the mystique is gone. Why would you have Undertaker just come back and just wrestle? It made no sense for me. I don't understand why they did that, but they ended up doing it. Smash the like, continue to hit that subscribe button for the Lewis Sports Network. We're talking top 10 wrestlers of all time. So at the end of the day, Bret Hart deserves a lot of credit. WCW used him wrong when he left with the infamous Montreal screw job. Everybody knows about the screw job. Obviously, there's a lot of mixed stories about who did what, who said this, who said that. But at the end of the day, I felt like that really set a tailspin. Even if Bret did win titles in WCW and he was part of the NWO, I felt that they used him wrong because Bret came into that company with a lot of heat. Oh yeah, that too. Absolutely, that too. I remember that. Sean was he was fooling around with the Sunny Days comment.
You have a baby.
Yeah, but they took offense to it. he, uh, Tyree, I gotta hear your top five, bro. I gotta hear your top five. You got Sean and Sting in the 20 to 30s. Okay, that's cool. Um, so yeah, man. With everything being said, I'm glad that Brett's in the Hall of Fame. The WWE does recognize that his contributions to the company they're like unmatched. I mean, look at what he accomplished. Like before Sean even won his first world title, Brett had what 12 years in the company, and he already had double. He was a double, triple crown winner. Like just one of the more decorated superstars of all time, and gotta love and appreciate what Brett is. Yeah, anonymous. They had a 9 month relationship, and she at the time was actually dating Chris Candido, aka Skip from the Body Donnas. And Chris and Sean they hated each other. They didn't like each other. But I felt like Chris was too soft though when it came to her and Sean. And the reason being that he didn't really get after Sean was because of Sonny, but Sonny herself got her own set of issues. Oh, I can't do the spinner Rooney. Did you put it in the chat already? Oh, you put Vince McMahon. Okay. I mean, Vince is not a wrestler, but okay, I see what you mean. Oh, Triple H is in your top five? I don't think Triple H is top five for me. Uh, but he's definitely one of the all-time greats. Triple H for me is to me Triple H. Triple H is probably in the 10 to 15 range for me. But I do have Stone Cold, Ric Flair, and Hogan as my top three. So yeah, I got Brett at number five. Number six, I have to go with the Stinger. Sting. I have to go with Sting. People really don't understand the respect that people have for this guy, the Stinger. I mean, I remember him and Ultimate Warrior. They started out as a tag team before Sting kind of became his own guy. I think at times when he was the blonde Sting, he was very charismatic. So he had the charisma. Sometimes I think he was kind of unsure of himself on what he would say on the mic. But when Sting put his words together, Sting actually sounded pretty good on the microphone. He was pretty good. He was pretty good. I would say Sting's mic skills were good. I wouldn't say great, but very good. So you got Taker, Flair, HBK, and Hogan as your Mount Rushmore. Mick Foley definitely goes before Triple H. That's just me though. Okay. Yes, Sting. Yep, Sting. The funny thing is, I don't know. I just love his crow gimmick. That's probably my favorite Sting. There was also NWO Wolfpack Sting. Oh, I agree with that. WCW did very good with Sting. They did a great job with Booker T. They did a great job with Diamond Dallas Page. Oh, I remember that. They have the match on YouTube. They have the match on YouTube. That's your top five? Um, that's your top five, D? That's cool. He's got the Ultimate Warrior, underrated. Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, and Mick Foley, and The Rock. Now, D, I know you're gonna be very happy because your boy Mick Undertaker finally retired, but I don't know how long he's gonna stay retired though. But your boy finally retired though. Sting actually used a sharpshooter before Brett as his finisher. Just Sting called it another name. Yeah, he called it the Scorpion Death Lock. Uh, that was his move, the Scorpion Death Lock. You know, it was one of the special moves. Oh, I remember that. Nigga said, Hulk Hogan, we coming for you. Yeah, I remember. Um, so yeah, like it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool in the fact that Sting's Crow character to me will always stand out. I love this NWO Wolfpack. He didn't look like a guy that was about the Wolfpack style, but he somehow made it work. I love the red and black paint that he would wear. I remember Sting had the short hair, but then he really started to grow his hair out by 96, 96, 97, 98. His hair was probably the longest I've seen it, probably in 98. And then he cut it in 99. Sting's his rivalry with Vampiro. For those who remember the Sting Vampiro rivalry, doesn't get talked about enough. WCW did a great job with the Sting versus Vampiro rivalry. I don't know why that doesn't get enough credit, but Sting and Vampiro was definitely one of the greatest rivalries of all time. Triple H was great on the mic. He says great wrestler, great talent finder. I would say he's a great talent finder and developer. I would say that Triple H was very good when Triple H didn't do the "I am the game," and in this very ring, when he didn't do that, he could put a. His promos were one of the best. His promos are really one of the best. Triple H can really put a good promo, especially when Triple H puts a lot of passion into his promos. Triple H is he's very good, especially with some of the words he uses. Now, in terms of wrestler, I thought Triple H could tell a very good story. His storytelling was one of the best of all time. Triple H did know wrestling moves, technician, he was a powerhouse. I thought Triple H's storytelling with some of his rivalries, when you look at Mick Foley, Batista, Shawn, Stone Cold, like the storytelling that are in those rivalries, I give Triple H a hell of a lot of credit. It was a goofy gimmick. The John Paul Levesque stuff, yeah, yeah. Oh, Raven, oh yeah, Raven, oh yeah, for sure. He doesn't get talked. He doesn't get talked about enough. I loved his Edgar Allan Poe references, always to the Raven poems. Doesn't get enough credit. Sneaky cheating. No, Triple H's storytelling is some of the greatest in wrestling history. Take a look at his late 2000 to 2001 storyline with Stone Cold. That was better than their 99 storyline going into No Way Out, into No Mercy. You look at that storyline from late 2000 to 2001, some of the best stuff I've ever seen when it came to storytelling. The build up was awesome. Triple H is a better heel than face. I will say that Triple H is very funny, very, very funny. Triple H can be very entertaining on the mic. When they let Triple H be like goofy and funny, Triple H is one of the best ever. I mean, that dude is funny as hell. So I got to give him that. When he did the imitation of the Nation of Domination with DX, that was some great that was some great stuff. Especially with Jason Sensation, that was some classic great stuff, man. You know what, Anonymous? How about the shooting star press that he did? How about the shooting star press that he did off the third rope? I don't know how many guys can do what Billy Kidman did. This dude was able to do a shooting star press from the third rope to like attack a guy. That joint is crazy. So yeah, this is why I got Sting at number 6. One of the best icons. He's been in a lot of classic matches. His run in TNA is one of the best ever. I mean, even when he did Joker Sting, it was pretty good. It almost made it seem like Sting could have been the Joker in Batman movies because Sting just had the character and the flair to do it, and that's why I love Sting. Whether he could be a blonde hair American boy, or he doesn't even have to say a word in a black trench coat with a baseball bat, wearing black and white, face painted black and white, not say a word, and still draw the reaction from a crowd without saying anything. People have to give Scott Hall a lot of credit though. Scott Hall was the one that came up with the crow gimmick. And that's why I said that Scott Hall doesn't get enough credit too. That's why I call him one of the more underrated ones because he can come up with characters, and the guy was able to look good. Obviously, his great thing was being as Razor Ramon. That's right. Say hello to the bad guy. To the bad guy. Yeah, Triple H was very well known for like the comeback lines. I like that. Like that's the thing, and that's the thing with Sting. Like Sting, when Sting would do his, anytime he would do his holler, the yeah, when he always did the Showtime folks, he just made you like, man, I wonder what Sting's gonna do in the ring. Like, so that's what made Sting very special. There's not a lot of people that can do what Sting did. I mean, there's a reason he's called the franchise. There's a reason he's called the vigilante. And like I said, Crow Sting for me will always be my favorite character. And Sting is very well respected. It's very well respected. That's what people don't understand about Sting. I mean, there was that segment I think in '92 when he feuded with Ravishing Rick Rude. That was some good stuff too. That was some real good stuff. All right, so I got Sting at number 6. Yeah, late '90s, early 2000s. Yeah, very true. Ryan says Triple H as a heel, especially Evolution. I wanted Evolution to go even longer. Evolution is arguably the greatest faction in WWE history. I don't care because you're looking at Ric Flair, who's in the Hall of Fame already. You look at Triple H, who is going to be in the Hall of Fame. You have Randy Orton, who's a future Hall of Famer, and you have Batista, who was nominated this year, but due to the pandemic, he can't get in unless they do the ceremony next year. But man, it's crazy that we saw Batista and Randy Orton become Hall of Famers through that faction and the success that those guys have. I love Sting, but he's not over The Undertaker to me. I think the reason that you probably wouldn't have the thing is also, at least with Ric Flair, he's had enough time in the WWE, but it's like, and Ric Flair's had classic matches with a lot of the all-time greats, like in AWA, NWA. Like the classic stuff is what puts him over the top. But I can understand if you got Undertaker over Sting. So I got Sting at number 6. Number 7, I have to go with the Dead Man, the Undertaker. Well, now what I would have loved was if the Undertaker had retired at Survivor Series, because at Survivor Series it would have made 30 years, 30 complete years, because he debuted his career in the Survivor Series. And what's crazy about the Undertaker is his first match was in the as what I like to call the Fall Classic, which is Survivor Series. And then his last match is what I like to call the Spring Classic in WrestleMania against AJ Styles in the Boneyard match, right? So what made it great for him was I'm glad that he had to have one more match. Now what I wish was his last match would have been at the Survivor Series because I think he would have went out the way he came in. Son, you mean Mean Mark Callis? Yeah. People forget too that Taker almost retired. He almost was going to give up wrestling when he was in WCW in the AWA Championship in the NWA Championship Wrestling, and with the NWO, he almost. I mean, I said NWO with WCW. He almost quit, and he had been trying to get into the WWE before that. Um, but they was able to give him the Mortician character, and he became known as, well, they first called him Kane, but then they changed it to, it was Kane the Undertaker, and then they changed it to the Undertaker, and then it became Undertaker. So I thought that was the great. It's crazy how his gimmick has lasted this long, and I would think that the thing with a character like that, that's a very hard character to pull off in terms of the Undertaker, but it worked. And you also have to give Percy Pringle, aka Paul Bearer, a lot of credit. I felt that those two were perfect for each other in the roles that they played. And the thing was, Paul Bear wasn't Percy Pringle, aka Paul Bear, was actually he was a licensed mortician, so it worked perfectly. It worked perfectly. And yes, Tyree, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's hard to choose between the Four Horsemen and Evolution. Your boy Arn Anderson is one of the greatest talkers in history and an underrated all-time great wrestler. Him, Tully Blanchard. Tully Blanchard is also great on the mic too. He doesn't get enough credit neither. It's crazy. Undertaker, yeah, he has the greatest avatars of all time. There's no question about it. There's no question. Did you like the Benoit invading HBK and Triple H rivalry? At first, I didn't see how it was going to fit, Ryan, but Benoit and Triple H and HBK actually produced a pretty good storyline, and they had two classic matches back to back at Backlash and at WrestleMania. Undertaker was a $1 Million Man's secret member. Yeah, Stone Cold was also brought in by the $1 Million Man. Exactly. See, two of the greatest of all time in my top 10 list are there. Tyree says, what was the name of his new character when he came in with the motorcycle? Oh, he was known as the American Badass. ABA, American Badass. Ryan says, would it have been bad for business if Triple H had beaten Benoit at WrestleMania and beat Batista at WrestleMania? Yeah, it would have been bad business because they would have said that Triple H was doing politics, and he was already a politician. Paul Bear was the Don King to Mike Tyson. What makes the Undertaker special is his height. For him to do the things that he can do at 6'10" and a half, 328 pounds, to be able to walk on the ropes, that's something I had never seen it before. I had never seen a big man be able to walk the ropes and balance himself, even if he's just going up the top just to attack the shoulder or the arm of an opponent. The fact that Undertaker was able to walk the ropes, I had never seen that before. Like I've never seen a big man just walk the rope. Like that's crazy. Or when he does a flying clothesline, and I'm like, damn, this dude is that big and that athletic that he can soar like that. It tells you that he was very athletic. Uh, so that's what made the Undertaker special. And then if you just look at his character, the way that he spoke, his character is one of a kind, and he was the perfect person to fill that character. Just the eeriness of his voice, and just listening to his promos. Um, I haven't done my full list yet, Johnson. So my list is Hogan, Stone Cold, Flair, HBK, Bret Hart, Sting, and now I'm on to The Undertaker. And again, shout out to Johnson Daily Sports and go subscribe to his channel if you guys haven't. Yeah, Undertaker. One of the moments that I saw that really showed me that he was crazy athletic was there was a match that he had with Shawn in '97. I think it was at Ground Zero. And this was after Taker had the match at SummerSlam with Bret with Shawn as the referee. So they fought at Ground Zero. Uh, there was a disqualification at the end of the match, obviously, and so Taker was being separated by superstars, and so Shawn was with Triple H and China. They were outside the ring with several other superstars, breaking them apart. So then Undertaker busts through all the superstars, and he flies over the air. He flies over the air through the third row and lands on all the superstars. And I said, how is this dude flying like that at 6'10" and a half? That's crazy. I said, I've seen him walk the top rope, the third rope, but I've never seen him sail over the rope. And that to me was amazing about Taker. Tyree says the Rock and Undertaker match was a classic. Which one? The SmackDown was Undertaker's playground. Yeah, that's in order, Johnson. Thanks for the shout out. No doubt, no doubt. Appreciate you coming through. That match versus HBK where he dove over the top and almost ended his career. Yeah, he almost broke his neck because he ended up hitting a camera too. That was pretty scary stuff. I thought his career was over with the way he landed. Um, yeah, and let's look at his career. He's a seven-time World Tag Team Champion. He's won 7 world titles. He was a hardcore champion. The only thing that Taker never won was he never won the Intercontinental Championship. That was the only thing that was really missing on his resume. Shock. You know, he's a. Oh, and by the way, Ric Flair, 1992 Royal Rumble winner. Stone Cold Steve Austin, 1997, 1998, 2001, three-time Royal Rumble winner. Hulk Hogan, um, 1990 and 1991. Bret the Hitman Hart, 1994 Royal Rumble winner. Should have won in 97, but that's another story. Let me see. Sting, never competed in the Royal Rumble. Undertaker, he is the 2007 Royal Rumble winner. He's the only person at number 30 to ever win that award, to ever be a Royal Rumble winner at the number 30 spot. Shout out to Toby, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, yeah, so many close calls, man. And speaking about sports talk, has got Stone Cold, Brett, Shawn, Triple H, and Kurt Angle at from 6 to 10. Awesome. That's cool. Okay. So yeah, and then the Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. I know Jarrell earlier felt that it was overrated, but it kind of made the Undertaker who he is. And look at the greats that he faced. Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Hall of Famer. Jake the Snake Roberts, one of the more underrated superstars of his time, beat him. The Giant Gonzalez, don't know where he's at now. I don't even know if he's alive. Let's see. I mean, his legendary casket matches, his buried alive matches, his rivalry with Shawn, his rivalry with Mankind. That was probably my favorite rivalry. Him and Mankind. His rivalry with Stone Cold was pretty good too. Um, his rivalry with Randy Orton. Kurt Angle's in my 20 to 30. Yeah, this is yeah. Okay. Who's in your 6 to 10 range? Um, so yeah, like getting back to Taker. He faced Ric Flair. He faced Shawn obviously twice. He faced Triple H twice. His brother Kane, underrated, one of the best big men ever. You have obviously Kevin Nash, Big Daddy Cool, King Kong Bundy, Psycho Sid, aka Sid Justice or Sid Vicious. You have the Big Boss Man. For me, was his worst WrestleMania match. That was the worst one. That Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania 15 was the worst. Was the worst match of his streak. The absolute worst. Um, you have his classic with Triple H in 2001. You have you have the Big Show in the A Train one. You have his classic with Randy Orton. There's Mark Henry. His classic with Batista. Okay, I just never really heard about his death. That's crazy. But thank you for letting me know, Brandon. Oh yeah, you have Chris Jericho over Kurt Angle. Okay. Oh, that's right. HBK was the first at number one to win the whole thing. That's right. I forgot about that. Chris Benoit was number two. Um, I mean, so yeah, I mean, it's crazy to me that with Taker, appreciate that, Toby. Yeah, Rick against the Undertaker. Yeah, obviously. There's that. There's the one with Edge. Some people actually didn't like that match. And then obviously his two greatest WrestleMania matches with Shawn. I felt like I felt like after WrestleMania 29 with CM Punk, that's when Taker's matches really were not that great, and I felt like Taker should have retired after the loss to Brock Lesnar. They should have just left it alone, but they kept making. He kept going. Apparently, I appreciate you speaking mind. Take care, D. Appreciate you as always, man. Showing the love. Um, so yeah, guys. So you have The Rock, Undertaker, Chris Benoit, Goldberg, Mankind, in no particular order. Okay. Um, Stone Cold is your guy. Awesome. Cool. That's awesome. Stone Cold, I have it as the number. He's number two all time for me. Okay, so the Undertaker, yeah, definitely an amazing character for 29 years. Liked his Boneyard match with AJ Styles. They made a little American Badass slash Keep the Dead Man thing going. and he did an awesome job. So Undertaker, I salute to you for the amazing career that you had. Ah, do you think if the Click didn't meet Triple H, do you think he would have had the same resume as he does today? I don't think so. Because you know why? Sean was very huge in the development of Triple H. The thing was, he was called Hunter Hearst Helmsley, but Sean, he didn't like the name, so he just kept calling him Triple H. So that's why he was always, saying that, oh, that's Triple H. But yeah, um, so at the end, man, Undertaker's had an incredible career, and then I have Undertaker at number 7. Now number 8. Number 8, I have the People's Champ, The Rock. When it comes to E in entertainment, that's what the People's Champ was, The Rock. The Rock is my number 8 superstar of all time. The Rock is definitely top 10 all time. I think he's top 10. Some people will think that he was overrated, but The Rock can wrestle. Uh, the Rock had a charisma like no other. I just didn't like that his people's elbow was his finishing move to end matches, but The Rock made it look cool. Made it look cool. It's not that Triple H wasn't good. He is, but to be honest, like if you look at a lot of his stuff, man. So yeah, hey man, but Stone Cold, you're number 2. Stone Cold, you are number 2. So yeah, The Rock just had the look. The funny thing is that people forget about The Rock. The Rock was actually at one point he was actually poor, and this was actually at the time that he was done with his career at the University of Miami, because of I think he suffered a I forgot what injury he suffered, but he was pretty much done with pro football. And at one point, The Rock only had $7 in his pocket. So The Rock at one point was poor. The Rock also had a little bit of he had a little bit of fat on him too. I remember him coming in as Rocky Maivia. When it comes to entertainment, yeah, and box office, yeah, The Rock is definitely top 5. But when overall, he's top 10. I don't look at him as a top 5 guy. But yeah, looking at The Rock's career, I mean, 7, 9, 10-time world champion. He won 5 world tag team titles. He's a 2-time intercontinental champion. Uh, you know, 2000 Royal Rumble winner. What didn't the guy do? And he was the only one. He was the only superstar really that was really like the first guy to seamlessly transition from wrestling into Hollywood. He was really the first guy. So when you look at The Rock really paved the way for a lot of the superstars that are in movies. So The Rock deserves a lot of credit for that. And he proved to people that you can transition from wrestling to Hollywood, that you're able to do that. Part of it is true. It's a lot. That's true too, Tyree. He really does owe his career to Mark Henry because I know there was some personal beef between those guys, but Mark Henry is the reason that The Rock really owes his career to Mark Henry. The Rock has such a big ego sometimes, man. I can't stand it. And I loved him in his time in the WWE because he was entertaining to watch. That's the thing, entertaining. Sometimes The Rock will kind of say the same thing over and over again sometimes, but I thought his Nation of Domination gimmick was great, especially when he got to be the guy. Uh, he became the top heel in the company, which was awesome. The rivalry between the Nation of Domination and DX was just great to watch. Shout out to Ryan again. He says, "Do you think that He says that, do you think because he was with the clique, his status went at a certain level? Do you believe people overlook his in-ring abilities because he was with HBK was at the top? Like I said before, Triple H really got into the politics of things because of the clique. Uh, because he hung out with Shawn and Scott and Kevin. And people also forget that he was actually punished for a good amount of time because he had to take the bait for that curtain call incident. And Shawn was actually the one I think that was pushing for that idea which is something that Bret didn't like because he felt like Shawn was trying to make this about him and his clique when he became champion. And if you heard Bret in a sit-down interview with Shawn and with JR, he said that he didn't like the fact that he thought that Shawn was going to do everything with his friends and just get his share end of the money. That's why I'm like, see, everybody wants a piece of the pie. It's all about money. Hey, shout out to Kick Boy, aka Raphael. Appreciate you, man. I hope everything's good with you, man. And thank you. I did enjoy my birthday. Thank you. Thank you so much. He just does it in a faster version, right, Tyree? I think that's why Vince smiles a lot when he sees The Rock coming to the ring sometimes when they're on the same team. Now that I think about it, when The Rock walks, either when he goes slow or fast, he low key is Vince McMahon. Vince just kind of wobbles his arms out. But if you look at The Rock and Vince, they do walk the same. It's just The Rock did two different variations of Vince's walk, but he does walk like it. He does walk like it. It's pretty crazy. Again, ladies and gentlemen, smash the like button, hit that subscribe button for the Sports Network. Oh, actually, my like count actually went down. Actually went down to 28. Wow, that's interesting. All right, but once again, shout out to Raphael, man. Hope everything's good with you. Getting back to the Rock. The Rock has had a lot of successful movies. His rivalries with some of the best ever. Triple H, Stone Cold. I love what he did with the Hurricane in his Hollywood Rock gimmick. I thought the Hollywood Rock gimmick to me was his best gimmick that he didn't get to extend enough because he was really doing some great stuff as the Hollywood Rock theme in 2003. His most successful one is obviously People's Champion Rock, uh, but I would put his heel Rock as Hollywood Rock was probably the best gimmick that he ever had. Yeah, but you know what? It's weird. It's weird, but yeah, it's really not the same. But yeah, what the Rock accomplished, man, it's just second to none. He was probably the second most popular superstar after Stone Cold. I think it's one of the reasons why Triple H in a way was kind of jealous of that because The Rock and Stone Cold were the two most popular superstars of the '90s, of the late '90s. The Rock drew attendance. He sold out arenas. That's how great he was. And that's what makes The Rock one of the more amazing characters to ever grace a ring. He was good in the ring. He can wrestle. Another good storyteller. Doesn't get the credit for putting guys like Brock Lesnar over. Uh, so Raphael says, "Are you streaming on Monday?" Yeah, I'll be streaming on Monday. I'll be streaming on Monday. Man, and so yeah, if you want to thank superstars who are in the movie business or who have done movies, you have to really thank The Rock because he was the one superstar that was able to really transition very well into acting. You look at what Batista is right now. Ryan says that The Rock had great ad libs. That's a fact. Ryan says if he didn't tear his quad, what storyline would they tell and go with? I don't really know. That's a good question because remember he was in the two-man power trip with Stone Cold. I think that they would have lasted a few more months, and it's crazy because then the WCW ECW invasion happened around what July. I think that their two-man power trip would have died, but then I wonder if they would have made Triple H sort of a face heel, as in basically he could care less about the WCW ECW alliance, but still a heel. You know, so I have Chris Jericho. I mean, I'm sorry, not Chris Jericho. Sorry, that's why I have The Rock at number 8. His career really changed when he went to the Nation of Domination because he really had a rough beginning as Rocky Maivia. It's just people weren't cool with the whole fight the good fight. They didn't like that babyface gimmick he had. That I'm just gonna give it 110%. Uh, Has some really cheesy lines. Obviously, he's the son of Rocky Johnson, who passed away just a few years ago. God rest his soul. Uh, Also, the High Chief Peter Maivia, his grandfather. The Rock comes from that great Samoan family that has a lot of influence in the WWE. It's one of the most powerful and one of the greatest wrestling families ever. If you guys know the Lost Samoans of Afa and Sika, Afa and Sika. Obviously, The Rock's cousins with Roman Reigns and the Usos, and obviously Nia Jax, who's currently in the WWE now. All of those guys. So great bloodlines. Obviously, Jimmy Superfly Snuka. I mean, it's crazy. The Samoans have a lot of influence in the wrestling business. It's unbelievable. But anyway, I got The Rock at number 8. Now, at number 9. Whew, this was a little bit of a tough one for me. But at number 9, I have to go with the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Ooh, yeah, dig it. So yeah, the Macho Man, Randy Savage, is number 9 on my list. And the reason that Macho Man is number 9 on my list is because he really paved the way for small guys to be champions. When you look at world champions, he was the WWE champion. The charisma that the Macho Man had, his voice is unparalleled in the wrestling business all time. When it comes to his voice, nobody matches up. Arguably, he's just so entertaining to listen to. It's like he can never sound boring. He has some of the best lines that you could ever hear in his promos. His Slim Jim commercials are classic. I know he had a feud with Hogan. I know he has a lot of respect for the Ultimate Warrior. I know the Warrior always talked great about Macho when the Warrior was alive, and God rest his soul to the Ultimate Warrior. Um, Ryan says, "Would you think that the HBK Triple H never stopped? Would you get bored?" Um, it would depend on how creative they can still get with their rivalry. I think at some point I would have been bored with the rivalry because even when they stopped working with each other, it was like, oh, Shawn and Triple H, yeah, okay. they're gonna go against each other. It's not, cool match or whatever. Because the thing is that they had they faced each other in a last man standing. They faced each other in an unsanctioned match. They faced each other in a two out of three fall, three stages of hell match. No, or was it? Yeah, yeah, three stages of hell match. So yeah, they had. So yeah, look, they had unsanctioned three stages of hell. They've already faced each other like in regular wrestling matches, especially in some house shows. They had the last man standing. They had the Hell in a Cell match. They've been in triple threat matches. It's like at some point you would have gotten tired, unless if they could have found a new way to create something. Just like, because remember, shout out to Chiefs fan, appreciate you. You are the GOAT. That was a great rivalry. It's honestly underlooked. Sean and had great moments together. He said that. Wow, that's funny. I'm doing great, Chiefs fan. Hope everything's good with you. So yeah, like when you look at it, I was just like, I'm saying to myself that it would have been really hard to continue to try to make Sean in the game because they already had a long story. If you look at all of their build-ups, it would have been like how more can you the thing with Triple H and Sean would have been like how more can you build their story up? And I don't think it would have been enough at that point anymore. So yeah, I would have gotten tired of it. How do you think people got so tired of Cena and Randy Orton? When they first had their rivalry, it was red hot. It was good. But then it was like they were making them face each other like in 2008 and in 2009. And at one point, I believe they faced each other in 3 or 4 straight pay-per-views. And I'm like, are they going to put somebody else for Randy or Cena? Like, it's getting like ridiculous. Like, enough is enough already, right? So you have that. I would say in 2002, Sean showed glimpses of his bad attitude, of his old attitude. If you look at the late 2002, I started to see some of that. Maybe, maybe like some kind of part of 2003. I'm heading out. I'm calling it a night, but I have to come and show my support, man. Take care, everybody. Take care. I'm sorry. Take care, kid. I said bye, everybody. But yeah, guys, going back. So going back to the Macho Man, legendary matches, unbelievable costumes, always has something cool to say on the microphone. Appreciate that, kid. Take care, man. Just unbelievable mic skills and charisma. Obviously, was with the famous Miss Elizabeth. Made history at WrestleMania 4 when he won a tournament to become the WWE champion. Uh, and definitely was one of the pioneers in the 80s where Hogan got a 4-year reign. It was fresh. It was refreshing to see an actual guy who can wrestle. When he was the Macho Man was really like the first aerial superstar to like win the belt. Like he was good on the ground. The, and Macho doesn't get enough credit too, but he also wrestled big guys very well. Sean actually gets his elbow from the Macho Man. It's just Sean modified it. If you look at Sean's flying forearm, he gets it from Tito Santana. Tito Santana perfected the flying forearm. Macho with the elbow. So two of the elements that Sean's got in his arsenal are actually from Tito Santana and Macho Man. The sweet chin music is Sean's own thing. Uh, so he was very innovative in creating that real cool move, especially when it would come out of nowhere. Now, and then we know Savage's days in WCW. He was obviously part of the NWO, but Savage is just one of a kind. And you got to snap it to a Slim Jim. Just unbelievable charisma. Great on the mic. Talented wrestler. What couldn't the Macho Man do? Just very special. So I got him at number 9. And last but not least, number 10, ladies and gentlemen, and then I'm going to call it a night. Everybody has been amazing in the chat as always. I appreciated this. Got to do tag teams. That'll be the next WWE wrestling segment, tag teams. And number 10, I have to go with the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle's ring career in the WWE was short. Obviously, he wrestled in TNA. Only Olympic gold medalist in wrestling history. Quick learner, entertaining, can be funny. Some of the things he said just always crack me up. Who did he get the chin music from? I got to find out where he got that move from. But I know his flying forearm is from Tito Santana, and I know his elbows from the Macho Man. Didn't know the sweet chin music actually came from somebody else. Okay. But yeah, getting back to Kurt Angle, just an unbelievable technical wrestler. Had the ability to get. His athleticism was actually underrated. I mean, Kurt could do a moonsault. I remember Kurt could play possum and run up to the top rope and do his like belly to belly. His German suplexes were always entertaining. Kurt just knew how to put on a good match. Pretty good promo mic skills. Kurt is one of a kind. And the fact that Kurt was different, Kurt took chances and wasn't afraid to be himself, is why I have him in the top 10. And he accomplished a lot in a very short time. And if you combine his TNA career with his WWE career, Kurt is one of the most decorated champions to ever grace a wrestling ring, including the fact that he's a gold medalist, and to this day is the only gold medalist ever in wrestling history to set foot in a wrestling. And he's also had many classics with a lot of guys. He's had classics with Undertaker, with The Rock. My favorite rivalry with him was actually with Chris Benoit. I thought Kurt put on some of his best matches against Chris Benoit. (2001) Rock versus Kurt. Yeah, it's one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. Yeah, the problem with the Kurt Angle Brock Lesnar match was that was a classic match. The problem is it was not the build up was not that good. The build up was not that great, but the match itself was a 5-star classic. The match between Brock and Kurt Angle, that match was a 5-star classic. It just didn't have a lot of hype. And the thing is, if you look at the matches that they followed, they were the main event. But it was like, how can you follow? The most difficult thing was The Rock and Stone Cold, and then Hogan and Vince. Those two matches, and then you have Shawn and Chris Jericho. Those 3 matches really stole the show at WrestleMania. So I think that Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar were in a tough spot. And they delivered a classic. It's just the promo, the build-up for the match was not great. That's what sucks. Ryan says, whatever happened to that Triple H Rock and Stone Cold? Oh, here's what happened. So what happened was, the reason why that match didn't happen was because Stone Cold had a neck injury. And so if you remember, Ryan, in Detroit, that's where Survivor Series was. They did the angle of him getting run over so that he could go have surgery. They said his neck was really bad and that he would be off of a year. That's where the Triple H the accomplished storyline came from. Same thing with Rikishi being the driver that ran him over. But that's what that was about. That's why Stone Cold was gone for 1 year. He was gone for like 11 months. So yeah, when you consider all of that, that's the reason that Stone Cold was gone for a while. That's why that match didn't happen. Had Stone Cold not been injured, that triple threat match would have went through. I'm wondering how that match would have been too. I always wondered what would happen if that match happened. But yeah, because of Stone Cold's injury, that's the reason why the match didn't happen. So I hope I explained what happened. And if you remember, it was that DX angle where that he was chasing Triple H to the parking lot, and that's when the infamous Rock's Lipkin Continental car ran him over. That actually really that actually really catapulted the Triple H Vince McMahon rivalry going into Armageddon. But yeah, as you guys saw last night when I put the Milkamania segment between the WCW and ECW invasion when Stone Cold was part of the alliance, that was one of my favorite segments of ever. And JR sold the segment so well. That's what I loved about it so much. He sold it so well. But Kurt Angle just knew how to entertain. I felt like I said, his rivalry with Chris Benoit to me was one of the best in ever. I think arguably that's my favorite rivalry between him and between him and Chris Benoit. But yeah, that's why I definitely got Kurt Angle at number 10. How did they pull off the Triple H and the car crush thing? That had to me, that had to be taped in segments. That had to be taped in segments because there's no way that they could have pulled that off all at one time. I feel like that they, because you also have to look at the angles. You have to look at the angles. I'm pretty sure Triple H was out of that car at the time. They probably lowered it down, and then Austin raised it up, and then because it's all camera work too, you know. Jay says, anybody remember Adam Bomb? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I remember him and Brian Adams, aka Crush, when they were Chronic in WCW. Uh, I think Adam Bomb could have been something, but the WWE also failed with him too. But yeah, I remember Adam Bomb. Tatanka, Native American Tatanka. He was a solid worker, but he was very boring on the mic. Sometimes the stuff that they made him say, I wasn't even really understanding where he was coming from. And the thing is, what I didn't like is they made him from a Native American to all of a sudden selling out for the $1 million man. It just, I don't know, that whole thing didn't make sense to me. But he was a solid worker. I thought he had a solid match against Shawn at WrestleMania 9. For the Intercontinental Championship. That was a very underrated match. Double J, no, Double J, I didn't like his mic skills, but he was very good in the ring. Double J came from an athletic background, and I think he is from a family of wrestlers. I think his family was wrestlers. Yeah, I remember Hacksaw Jim Duggan. You know what he calls the ladies. I ain't gonna say it, but y'all know what I mean. Yeah, I was not a fan of Double J's his mic skills. It's all right. All right, man. But I'm glad that Kurt Angle got into the Hall of Fame. I know Kurt Angle had he had issues because he was on drugs. There was another dude that was on drugs. Um, but he's definitely in my top 10. Had a lot of classic matches himself in a short time. His TNA career for me propels him over the top. Kurt Angle also his ability to mix it in with different guys. I still remember his match with Shawn at WrestleMania 21 Classic. Some classic matches with The Rock. But anyway, man, that rounds out my top 10. Yeah, Vince had a thing against black wrestlers, believe it or not. That's why he didn't push. That's why Kamala was not pushed. But there's so many guys that would be underrated. There's a lot of underrated guys. I might make an underrated segment just to give a lot of guys love. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's my top 10. So once again, in order: Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, Bret the Hitman Hart, Sting, The Undertaker, The Rock, Kurt Angle, Randy Savage, and Kurt Angle are my top 10 all-time superstars of all time. With an honorable mention to Bruno Sammartino. He's actually my 11th. And I feel bad because I feel like Bruno actually should probably be in the top 10. I'll have to reconstruct that one. I may have to reconstruct that. But ladies and gentlemen, like I said, donations are in the description if you would like to donate. But once again, I'm going to close of the stream. Salute to everybody in the chat. I appreciate you guys always taking the time to watch my videos, liking the streams, subscribing to the channel, and also sharing them on your social medias. This was a fun conversation, and I'm glad that I got to do this with you guys. Got to go down memory lane. And the thing is, with the way wrestling is today, I don't really talk about it as much due to the fact that wrestling is not what it once was. But I do more of these classic segments. So from the Lewis Sports Network, to everybody in the chat, as always, bless up, live, laugh, love. Thank you for watching.
Mets have scored 6 runs with 2 away. Piazza rips it. Will it stay fair? Goodbye, home run! Mike Piazza! A 3-run homer! 11 days! This is exactly what we've seen from Derek Jeter for 20 years. Simon on the way. That's in the air to right, falling fast. He is 2 for 2. The Devil is sick.
Calling signal, spin in motion. Manning keeps it into the line. Touchdown, Giants on the quarterback keep. Eli Manning with the touchdown, his first rushing touchdown of the season.
Play action. Manning, lots of room in front of him, and he will waltz into the end zone.
Manning over center. Redskins show blitz. Manning back to throw. He's going to roll right. Manning's going to run. He cuts back at the 1-time to the goal line. Touchdown, Eli Manning.
First and goal, Giants at the 1. Manning back to throw. He's going to run it. Eli's going to walk in for the touchdown.
2nd and 4. Manning takes off. He's inside the 5 to the end zone.